Music has been a part of me for my entire life. I've grown up in a house where I'd go to church early every Sunday morning with my dad for the worship team's practice, and where I'd hear Great Is Thy Faithfulness downstairs on the piano every Saturday morning that there was a funeral. Since those childhood memories, I've embarked on my own musical journey. So today I'm going to go through 3 songs and explain how they grew me as a musician that I am today. I would say that the vast majority of my musical journey is more in the recent times for me. Sure, I grew up with piano lessons from my grandma and I had my musical dad around, but I really took music into my own when I started playing bass. Long story short, I was at a junior high retreat in grade 10 to play electric guitar, which I sucked so bad at. But we already conveniently had another electric player there, and it so happened that my dad brought his bass up to the retreat as well. How convenient. So at about 45 minutes before the first session, I put on the strap and learned the basic notes of bass. From there, I took bass into my own. I took lessons for a couple months, played at the youth band, and even took the big stage for the first time for Christmas Eve last year. From that point, I realized bass was going to be something for me to really invest in and take to the next level. Which takes us to our first song, Gratitude by Brandon Lake. More specifically, the Live from Passion 2023 version. There's a handy tool that the church uses called multi-tracks, where you can listen to individual tracks from any song from its massive platform of Christian music. So I took those tools and I would listen and obsess over all the tracks of the most popular songs and figure out what they were doing so I could replicate them on a youth night or a Sunday morning, as I joined the Sunday morning team on regular rotation after my Christmas Eve debut, which apparently I proved my ability to play 8th notes of 4 minutes solid for joy to the world. Exhilarating, I tell you. So I mentioned Gratitude as one of those songs I obsessed over extensively. It's inherently a simple song, but digging deeper into every tiny detail taught me a bunch of random stuff like detuning the bass to E flat even while playing a 5-string bass, just get some cool slides in, or how to build energy in a bridge section, just random stuff. So that song is probably a prime example of how I really took bass into my own about a year ago and laid the foundation for where I am today. Taking a different approach, the second song I want to cover is Jump Up Superstar from the Super Mario Odyssey game on the Switch. Inherently, again, a pretty generic pop song that was really popular and kind of defined the game as a whole. It's very fun and lighthearted, and it's basically a celebration of saving the game's main kingdom. But the reason the song is important to me comes down to the Glennies, the show at the end of every school year that showcases the most random students for the most random categories. However, one stuck out to me, the best musician. Now, I don't think of myself as the most technical or most impressive musician in the school. In fact, I think most of the other submissions for the category are way better than mine in terms of technicality, very impressive piano playing, drums, and tie. But I had one thing they didn't: fun. Without going into too much detail for the sake of time, I basically made a show out of myself horrendously playing the sax and bass lines, and I don't know how to play jazz bass for the life of me. I literally just played random notes following the chord progression to what sounded right at the time. However, this bring me a level of confidence that I've never had before with music. Sure, I sounded like absolute hot garbage and I would do it a billion times better now, but it taught me to be confident in myself that I could take a different approach to something and do it well. While the best musician category can be interpreted as the most technically skilled musician, I took it from the angle of fun and telling a story with the only 30-second video time slot I had. And it was this angle that won me the Glennie and bragging rights over Tide to this day. The final part of this journey is what I'm calling the modern era, or just the part where I'm at currently with music. And to put it straightforward, it comes down to 2 things. The first being music production, the act of making music actually sound good. It sounds simple, but gets complicated so quickly. Let me explain what I mean by that. The bass guitar. It's a pretty simple instrument, plays those groovy low notes that we all love, but what actually makes that bass sound good? You would say the low end. However, that's not entirely the case. When you're listening to a song in your phone or potato laptop speakers, It's not producing 80 Hz or below or any bass at all in the case of school works. So you have to find a way to enhance the upper harmonics of the instrument, aka the mid-range, and give it some life and saturation, but then you also have to properly compress it so it's not overly phased, and then you also have to enhance it and preserve the low end, and it just goes on and on. So that's the music production side of things in its most simple terms, which often means spending money or learning how to use software like Ableton to record and upload stuff to YouTube and just improve that way. Then the other side, there's a modern era of music for me as well, actually getting better at music. Focusing on the parts of music that I've always found challenging and pushing myself to grow in those areas. This brings me to the song Give Me Jesus by Apple Music, and more specifically the reprise section of the song. I actually recorded and uploaded a cover of the song to my YouTube channel specifically for this podcast because I wanted to highlight some parts of it, since I think it encapsulates what I'm trying to get out with my musical growth. Alongside dialing my bass tone and using software plugins in Ableton to make my bass, sound good. It was a really tricky song for me to learn, and here's why. The reprise starts off with offbeats hits from the F sharp to G to F sharp on the B chord, which took me an embarrassing amount of time to learn and get down. Then there's also octave jumps and transition notes to build energy as the bridge progresses and builds. Then it resolves with a halftime bridge where the bass does this. And finally finishes. In my eyes, this showcases the way I've pushed myself to new heights I didn't think I could get to because I wasn't good enough or anything to accomplish those things. So that's a highlight of how I've developed as a musician, mainly over the last couple of years, but music has always been a part of my life and will continue to for a long time.